Okay, to start this, we need to reorganize our code. Okay, um, the idea is create the module folder and subfolders, and then copy and paste this code, our security group EC2 instance code, into each module. Okay, so let's start. Here we have our modules folder, then let's create a EC2 subfolder and a security group subfolder. If you remember the diagram that I showed in the previous video, basically I am created the same structure. Okay, that's why I will create this GTS file where we will paste the security group code. Okay, let's copy this. Perfect. Let's paste it in security group. Cool. And now let's do the same thing for our EC2. CTTF. And here let's pick the instance block. Cool. Now if we check our file, the SG and EC2 file, TF files, we will see the same code but in different files and different folders. Okay, now the next step is start creating the modules, and where we call the modules and the variables that we are using into our instance. I just pasted it because basically this is a tab to demonstrate that we can reuse the same variables. Okay, and now let's start writing the module folder. Let's put here this comment, modules, just to mention that the module is starting here. We need to put the module, then the name of the module. You can put whatever you wanna put there, but then you need to use the argument source and put the physical path of the resource. In this case, it's in module because we create the folder called modules and then the subfolder called EC2. That's why I'm putting that in the folder. But the same thing for SG, for our security group. We need to put the source equal wcode // module/SG. Okay, this is how we call the child modules into our Terraform. Okay. Now the next step is start calling the variables that we already create in our main module. You remember we have the tags. We can create other argument values in variables too. Let's check our SG template, for example, and let's see. We have the tags. Okay, that is done. So to declare this variable into this module, we need to create a new file for this module. Let's create a new file. Let's call SG -vars. Okay, to identify that this is the variable file for SG. And now we can create. Okay, let's select the VPC ID to becoming a variable. Okay, so in this file, the variable file, we declare the VPC ID and the tags value. Let's see here the variables. The variable for the VPC ID doesn't exist. So that's why I'm creating this variable now. The description will be VPC where the infra will be deployed. Now let's go to our variable file. Okay, the value is here. VPC ID and the VPC value. Okay. Now let's copy this ID. Go to our main file. In this case, I will copy this here. This is equal to var VPC ID. Okay. Because this is coming from the variable, the main variable file. Let's copy this and then go to sgvars. We need to declare this in the same way that we make it for in the main variable name. Just put a new comment here just to remember from where is coming this variable. Okay. Okay. Now let me see here. Okay. Now let's do the same for tags. In this case, I already see. So the only thing that I need to do is copy this block and paste it in our sgvar file. But we need to declare the same variable here is equal to var tags. Okay. I think we are done with this. So let's create a new file in our SG module for the output, because remember we need to put the security group ID into the EC2 instant code. Okay, so here we need to put the output, this output that's called security ID. Okay, this GID. Let's put here our description, SQL double code. This is the ID created by the template, by this template. Now we need to put the value for this. You remember when we put the value, this is equal to our resource ID. In this case is this. Let's copy this. Okay, need to change the W code for a dot. Remember, that is how Terraform identify each ID. And now we need to put the attribute. Let's go to the ID. You see, is the ID. That is why we will put ID here. That is how we will get the ID of the security group. The idea with this is pass this value to the EC2 instance. So the same way we did it for the VPC ID and tags, we can do it in the EC2 instance module. Okay, let's create a space here, and now let's call the SG ID is equal. In this case, we need to call the module. To do that, just put module dot. Now the name of the module in this case is SG, because we call the module SG. That's why we put here down. We need to put the output name after the dot. Okay, this is done for now. Now we need to create the EC2 variable file, and the same way that we did it for SG bars. Okay, let's create it. Let's now create a comment here to identify where it's coming from. This variable. It's come from the security group module. Okay. Oops. Oh. Okay. Oops. Sorry. Variable. Now the name of the variable in our case is SGID. Curly bracket. Now let's put the description. This is very important. I like to use the description to identify each variable. Security group ID. And this is good enough. Okay. Now we declare here, and let me close those spaces. Let's see. The other pending thing is create the variable tags. We can change the subnet ID. We can create a variable for this argument too. Okay, let's start with the subnet. Let's copy that. Let's put it here because this is our variable file for the environment, you know. Let me organize this first. Okay, it's okay. Perfect. And now let's go to our variable file. Where is? Okay, it's here. Copy this and subnet ID and change the name of the variable. Okay, let me change this. Okay. Now let's create the subnet declaration ID variable declaration here. Okay, let me copy this and paste it this here because actually we are calling the same tag. Okay. Both modules will use the same values. Let's put here come from your variable. Let's change this for main. I think it sounds better. And paste this. The type is not needed here, it's not necessary. Okay, copy this. The EC2 variable here. Okay. Now let's change this to call the variables. In this case, we need to use we must use var. That's a net. Okay, no. And see. Let me check this because we are getting in this code we are getting the value from the main module. In this case, we need to get the information from the EC2 module. Okay, that's why we need to put here the module, the EC2, and then paste the output from our EC2 module. Let's create a file for our output. .df. Okay. Now all that we need to do here is create the outputs for our public IP. Let's call this public IP. Okay, description. Equal EC2 public IP. The value is equal to our EC2 resource ID. Let's go to the DF file, copy, then we need to paste it into our output file. Let's replace this for a dot. And now we need to put the attribute, the corresponding attribute in here to pick the public IP. For that, let's go to the Terraform documentation. Let's scroll down to find the attributes. Here, the attributes. Let's see. Here is. This is the correct attribute for this public IP. Let me copy this and then paste it here. Okay, and now I can copy this because this is the output variable, and let's go to the output and paste this here. Okay, I think we are done. Let's initialize our modules by the Terraform init command line. Okay, Terraform init. Oops. Oh, sorry. Terraform init. Okay, here we put the first error. Let's see what is the problem. Let's go to our audio file. Start with there. Oh, I have a space here. Okay, let's initialize again. The same error. Let's see. Here's okay. It's the same error but in different file. Let's go to EC2 bars. Yeah. Here is the problem. Let's run the Terraform init again. Yep, now is initialized. Now let's run the Terraform validate to check our code. Let's see, we have the EC2 TF file. Let's go here. What is the problem here? Oh, we forget change the ID. Let's put this, and now let's go here. Put var that our variable. Let's run Terraform did it again. Okay, success. Let's apply our change. Okay, I think Terraform will destroy all the infrastructure that we already deployed and will create the infrastructure again. Why? Because the resource ID will change. Let's see. This chain will add and destroy 2 resources. See, let's check the output. See, destroy. This is the same resource ID or the old resource ID for the EC2, and we have the old resource ID for the security group, and this is the new resource ID. As you can see, say module.ec2 and the same name that we have in the first configuration. Let's confirm this deploy. Okay, the deploy start destroying our infrastructure. This will take a time, okay? I will spin up this video and I will see you in a few minutes. Okay, now the Terraform end to run the redeploy, and we get a new public IP. If we check our console, you can see that we have our old EC2 instance, and we have a new one in initializing status. Now the next thing that I want to show you is test our telnet connection. Okay, now let's go to our terminal and to test our connection to net. New public IP to the port 22. Okay, it's done. If you can see, we have the same results, but with using different, making some difference in our code. Basically, now we are using module. In the next video, we will add in new modules, and we try to reuse some of them to test how we can reuse each module. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.